Thank you for giving her a stage. She's very assertive. So let's see, what time is it? We have enough people in here to get started. Thank you. Thank you. She is. That's my baby.
Yeah, I'm her daughter.
Okay.
Bye.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight is the first night of the 30-day Boss Up Challenge. Okay. Um, the Boss Up Challenge. Before I get into that, I just want to make sure you do a self check. Those of you that were looking last night, if you were viewing, I wanted you to set a goal. I did not specify the goal. I left that part up to you all. Did you meet your goal? Take a moment to think about it if you're one of the people. Did you meet your goal? If you did not meet your goal, why? If you did meet your goal, think about how you felt. If you didn't meet it, did it make you feel like you were discouraged? Just process how you operate when you either meet your goals or don't meet your goals. It's important to know how you respond individually to your successes and failures because there's going to be a lot more of those in the future. Okay, so I'll make sure that I do a brief check-in if I ever give homework or set goals or tell you all to set goals. I'll check in with you the next time I do a video. Okay, so I came up with this topic because a friend of mine reached out last night after the broadcast, and she said that it would be a good idea for me to come up with like a concise, specific how-to version of how to, I guess, be successful in business. She was saying like make it something where people can, like, I should set the goals for them, be precise, be specific, and make sure that they feel some type of gratification that's not too delayed. And when I thought about it, and she was like, make sure you eventually have things that you can give out to people, like handouts and things they can actually have with them. And I said, that might be something I can consider, but I was kind of opposed to this notion that I'm going to specifically set goals for people, because I don't think when you're bossing up, you kind of set your own goals because your road, your end game looks different than somebody else's. And so you may want different things. So I don't want to set goals for you and they're not the goals that you want. So the other thing that I have somewhat of an issue with trying to figure out where I stood on the issue is the idea of um, seeing results quickly so that people can know that my strategies work. Give them specifically what they need to do. Let them see the outcome and they can determine if it's working. And so my issue with that is when you're bossing up, you're an independent thinker. And I want to try my best to teach people to be independent thinkers. But if I do all the thinking for a person and tell them exactly what they need to do to get to this point, I don't think that really exists, and I don't think that would be a good way of setting people up for autonomy and independence. Also, there really isn't a lot of instant gratification. It's better now that you know at the onset of you starting business that it might be a long time before you get the results that you want. A long time. So I feel like it's better to build up your stamina now on the front end so that your expectations are appropriate. I don't think there's a quick way or a specific way to tell people how to be successful. It's a process and it's unique to the individual based on their goals. So, nevertheless, even though I felt that way and that was the way I responded, this morning I said, wait a minute, maybe there's some middle ground. Maybe there is something that I can do that is quantifiable, that gives people something to look at the end of a time frame. But I couldn't negotiate it less than 30 days because I feel like if a person can't commit to something like this for 30 days, they're not ready to boss up. Okay? We live in a world full of instant gratification and people's inability to commit to something because there are so many options now. I mean, there are so many people on YouTube, on Facebook, talking about similar things that I'm talking about. When you're scrolling through, there are people that, um, they have very, like, funny timelines and so many different options, basically. Hold on one second, someone's trying to call. There are so many different options, basically, and it makes it easy to be distracted. So you have to learn how to commit to something. That way you're not like all over the place. So um, people want the outcome, but they don't want the process. That is something, that's a quote I heard yesterday from Lonnie's live stream. She said, people want the outcome, but don't want the process. So that's what this 30-day challenge is about, is to give you uh, just a glimpse of what it's going to require to be starting a business, basically. So, stamina. What is stamina? Stamina is the ability to sustain prolonged physical or mental effort. That's the definition of stamina, the first one that popped up when I Googled it. And so it's basically straightforward. You need stamina to go into business for yourself. You have to have stamina, mental and physical. The mental component of stamina is about your ability to focus, okay? The focus that's required, the level of focus that you're going to need borders obsession. You're constantly thinking about doing things to grow your business all day. Most of the hours you're awake, it's what's on your mind. It might even be when you're asleep, you're dreaming about it. It's like an obsession almost. If you don't feel almost obsessed with your business while you're building it, then you may not have the level of focus and passion required to get through what you need to do. Okay? Um, so I definitely want to test people's mental stamina by being able to. I mean, I see it all the time. People come in and play peekaboo in the live streams. People come in and they leave. People have things to do, but I think a lot of it is just hopping around because people are just clicking, clicking, clicking to see what's going on with this person. If it's, as soon as they click, if it's not anything that immediately captures them, they're out. Or they see that it's something that's not like like entertaining, funny, ignorant, they're out. And so the mental stamina is important because you have to be able to focus on things that you may not really enjoy doing it, but it's necessary and part of the process to get to your desired outcome. So, like in school, reading, doing homework, writing papers, a lot of those things are not really enjoyable. Not when it's like in the amount and that you have to do. The amount of it is what makes it unenjoyable at times, but you still have to get it done. So the mental stamina is required to sustain over a long period of time the focus that you need. Okay, you're going to drive yourself crazy during these. I call them growth spurts because I've already gotten past the startup phase and I have these spurts. Like there are times where I'm not always productive. Let's not create any kind of illusions here. But I have these growth spurts where when I have a moment, I'll go and focus on this, and then it's almost like tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. Once I build that up, check it out to see if it seems like it's sustainable. On to the next. Maybe I'll take a break. Then again, that same process. What's next? Okay. And after going 7 days straight on social media, I think you all have gotten a taste of that almost. Like it's, wow, like every single day though? Like who wants to tune in every single day? You know? Um, so you're going to drive yourself crazy, and I'm going to drive you crazy if you are sticking with me. You're going to really be like, oh my gosh, is she really actually thinking that we're supposed to be listening to her every night for 30 days? It's just a suggestion if you want to be a part of the process, because I'm going through the process with you all. Remember, I'm still trying to get to the next level. So I'm still building businesses from the ground up, even right now. So we're going to go through it together. And the best way that I can show you how to do it is to have you alongside me every day so that you can see the level of focus and the kind of things that you have to do to stick with your business and making sure that it succeeds. All right, so those of you that are thinking she's out of her mind, if she thinks that I'm talking to her, are we going to be listening to her for 30 days if I'm tuning in at 9 o'clock and these streams have been like an hour and 90 minutes? She's crazy. Well, what I'm going to do is break it down like this. First, I've decided that to be reasonable, I'm going to make sure that the information part of the live stream, I give it to you in 20 minutes. So I'll do a topical discussion, usually that has been inspired by the audience, in 20 minutes. So if you can just tune in for the first 20 minutes, you can check out if you don't want to participate in the Q&A. The Q&A is typically what drags it out when you see that these videos are like almost 2 hours. I don't want you to think that there's like 2 hours of jam-packed content that you need to know. So 20 minutes. Now, if you want to break it down, I did some math. And if you give me 20 minutes each evening for 30 days, that's 600 minutes. 600 minutes is 10 hours. 10 hours, let me give you a frame of reference what 10 hours can feel like. Many of you are accustomed to binge watching Netflix or series, television series. Typically an episode might be an hour long. I know plenty of people that can binge watch an entire 10-part series in one day. Okay? So I know that if I expect 10 hours across the span of 30 days towards something that can better you, secure the bag, create a legacy for your family, I'm sure you consider it, right? If you can do binge watching Netflix, if you can scroll on Facebook for several hours throughout the day, I know you can give me 20 minutes. Okay? All right. And I want you to change the way that you're looking at this process. Look at this time as your time that's devoted to growing your business. Not so much that it's your time with me, but it's your time devoted to growing your business. Don't look at it like you're talking to a buddy or one of your alumni from back in the day, a family member, your employer or mentor. Don't see any of those roles here. Okay? I want you to look at the challenge and what the challenge itself implies. Can you condition yourself to do something for 30 days that goes towards you getting closer to your freedom? You need to ask yourself that question. And if you can, first of all, you have to even start out saying, I'm willing to try. Because some people aren't even tuned in right now. There were people who were tuned in when I showed them strategically, I did this on purpose. I showed people the money earlier in the week, earlier last week. I showed people actual income that I was making, which generally would be something that's private. But I knew that a lot of people are in a mind where you need to show them the money. But after that initial, I guess, looking at it and seeing what it is and talking about it, and then it's like, then it's over. I don't really see people coming back. Maybe they don't feel like they needed to come back. Maybe they feel like they're already on track. But I definitely know that that was the most popular video. That is the video that, if I go back and look, it has the most views. The analytics on that video showed that people tuned in longer because when I showed people the money, they were interested. The money is the outcome. The 30-day challenge is the process. Y'all should be here with me right now. Those people that were in it that day, they should be here right now if that's what they want. Because that outcome, you only get to that when you follow a process. Okay? And so you have to have the stamina for the process. Now, how do you develop the stamina if you don't have it? Well, there are a number of things that need to be considered, and that's your physical and mental health, which typically are a result of your lifestyle choices. Notice I said choices. I said choices, which implies you can make a different choice. All right? So you want to ask yourself questions like, are you exhausted because you're surrounded by psychic vampires? People that suck the life right out of you? You're surrounded by a lot of those kind of people, or even one of those kind of people. They may have to get cut. Those people might have to get cut. Is your diet poor? One of the most energetic times in my life is when I did vegan for, I think I made it to about 5 weeks, maybe 6. When I got to the end of like week 3, I felt almost like I was floating. I felt lighter. I felt more energetic. And that was a choice, but I didn't stick with it, which was a choice. So you have to think about your choices. Is your diet poor? Can you do simple things to increase your energy level and your focus? Are your sleeping habits poor? Are you sleeping too much? Are you sleeping too little? Are you using drugs? What choices are you making that actually affect your ability to concentrate and be physically energetic enough to actually get up, get out, and get something? Now you need to consider a reprioritization of your time and your resources. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. And that's part of why I realized, let me make it clear to people that I'm going to cut this down to 20 minutes for what they need. Then they can go about their business, because you have to respect people's time. And you don't want to encourage wasting time just sitting around talking about what you want to do or talking about what you should do, but you actually doing what you should do. That's what I need to happen in this process over the 30 days, is people to do what they need to do. So you'll get 20 minutes. Then if you need more Q&A, that's fine, because I'm going to be here. I'll be here, and I guarantee you I probably can last the whole night if I had to. So that's how it's going to go. So I need people to give me some feedback on, because I'm at the 18-minute mark right now, actually 19-minute mark. So I'm getting ready to open it up for people to ask questions, comment. While you all are thinking about those questions and typing them up, I'm going to go ahead and do acknowledgments. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you one of the most important things. I forgot I had a whole nother page. I'll make it quick. If you do, what do you get out of doing the 30-day challenge? I kind of summarized it briefly, but let me break it down, because when my friend told me people need to see quantifiable things in a relatively short period of time, If you do this 30-day challenge properly and you don't have any kind of outlandish circumstances going on, I am 99% certain that at the end of this 30-day challenge, you will have achieved 10 things. 10 things. You will, one, you'll be closer to being in business for yourself. Two, you will own at least one share of stock in a publicly traded company. You will. You will have built your self-esteem and self-efficacy by accomplishing goals and making it through this challenge. You will develop resilience from bouncing back from failures, because in 30 days, I'm sure you're going to fall short in some way, but you're going to know you have 30 days that you're committed to, so you have to keep going. That's going to build resilience. 5, you're going to improve your executive functioning skills and basically reshape your brain, literally. You will have developed an understanding that outcome is a process that isn't developed overnight, and you will learn to accept that. You will understand it, you will be aware of it, and you will accept that. 7, you will have met at least one potential business partner in this group. Okay? You would have met one potential business partner, because if you keep coming back and you're paying attention, you're going to see the same names. You're going to see the way that people comment. You're going to see who you might be vibing with, whose comments you're like thumbs up in or loving or whatever, and you might have to like direct message that person if they've given information that indicates they might be interested in some of the same type of business as you. Partnering up is really a good thing. There's a synergy required in business where people thrive off of each other that's very important. So you will have met at least one potential business partner in this group. Potential business partner. 8, you will have improved your household budget. 9, you will be more focused on business and less focused on foolishness. And 10, you'll be in the habit of putting effort towards your business and in a position to sustain what you've done. Okay? 10 things. I'm 99% sure that if you do this thing right, not even perfect, but if you do this thing sufficiently, adequately, these are the 10 things you'll get out of it. Okay? Does this sound good to anyone? Okay? If it does, let's go. So let's see, direct message list of the 30-day challenge. So it's not really a list per se. So let me make sure I didn't miss any other questions. Because I'm going to, since I told you those 10 things, I need to do my acknowledgments and then get on with the questions. Okay. So the acknowledgments for tonight, I'm going to shout out 3 bossed up people that I know. One is Tiara Williams. She is the woman that partnered with me to take over the child care center that I built. Remember, I think maybe the very first live stream I did, I talked about my journey with the child care industry. And she is the person that I gave the center to. And I don't like to say gave it to her, because there is still a degree of partnership in there. But it's kind of, just to keep it simple, it's practically like I gave it to her. But the fact that she was willing to take it, knowing that it may not have been profitable, knowing that she had to find the lease for the property, knowing that she had to meet payroll and everything out of her own pocket. If it did not flourish, she would be responsible, not me. She took that on. That's a boss move. She took a risk, and she has a full-time job as a teacher. So she can't even really be there to run it all day. She still took on the challenge. Okay? The next person I want to acknowledge is Valencia Baker. Valencia Baker was my very first customer at Perfect Angels when I was doing it as a home provider. And I basically met her. We end up getting into an arrangement. Um, and she's been like a right hand man ever since. She has her own business now, and it's called VRB Consultant Services. And while I am not taking hardly any of the credit for her skill set, I know that she has made it clear to me that she appreciates the experience that she has gained and all of the skills that she learned alongside with me struggling through this process. The next person, oh, I'm sorry, let me give you the information. It's vrb-consulting.com, and her number is 202-922-5781. Valencia Baker. She goes by V Baker. And then Perfect Angels Learning Center for Tiara, we have that on Facebook, and then there's a website, Perfect Angels Learning Center. Actually, I don't know. It might be perfectangelslearningcenter.com, but I know for sure you can find us on Facebook. Next person is Henry Watkins, my dad. He's his Glow Product Showcase company. He patented a design called the Fruity Cutie, which is a baby hooded towel that looks like a piece of fruit. So he got a patent for it. It's on Amazon. Look it up. Fruity Cutie. Fruity Cuties. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Let's get on with the question and answers. Consistency is key. Indeed. Let's see. Welcome back, Derek. Derek's my guy of the group. Let's see. He wants to know if I had $1,000, what's the best way to invest it to see the best outcome? Ooh. I'm reluctant to give that type of advice because what I'm doing here, I'm trying to teach people how to make money, how to develop a business mindset. So what I can't do is guarantee that any particular venture will bear fruit on your watch. But what I'm trying to do is get you to understand that if you do something that doesn't bear fruit, either change your approach or move on to the next idea and keep trying and keep working. So if you had $1,000, I can't answer that question for you because I don't know your skill set. I don't know if you're in a position to be able to lose that $1,000. Like if it just disappear, are you willing to like throw that in the fireplace and you can still pay your bills or do what you need to do? So that's a very difficult question to what I can say is at the end of this 30-day challenge, I think you will have a better idea of what you can do with that $1,000. So yeah, like I said, there's no list. He said, can you DM me the list of the 30-day challenge? So there's no topical list. This has been very organic. It has not been planned out real strategically. When people reach out to me, and now people are calling me through Facebook, people are direct messaging me. Sorry if I have not responded yet because people are starting to contact me. I'm not able to answer those calls. I encourage you to come to the Q&A when I'm giving you my time through the live stream so that you can get that kind of interaction, because I already know that I won't be able to keep up with that kind of demand one-on-one with people. You can inbox me and I'll do my best, but don't get upset if you don't get an immediate response or I'm not able to give you the information that you had hoped for. So the 30-day challenge is going through the process, and whatever the audience is interested in, as long as it fits in the model of what I know needs to happen to make a business work, then it'll be on this show. And that'll be for tuning in each night. It's almost like you're meeting with your own personal board of directors every night because you're in startup mode. So you're having a meeting every day, a brief 20-minute meeting every day to think about marketing, to think about the kind of IT situation you're going to have, to think about budgeting, to think about um, quality assurance. These are all the kind of things that I can tell you we will be talking about, but there's not really like a lineup per se. I just kind of know what's going to happen. I can anticipate what's going to happen. Welcome, Jay. I'm always welcoming more men to get in a group and to be willing to receive a message from a woman and to be willing to ask questions in a group where other people can see that you're asking questions and not let your ego, make you quiet or miss out, or you're going to cut your nose off to spite your face because you don't want to, you want to feel like you've done it on your own. We talked about that last night, so thanks for joining, JF. All right, let's see. You accomplished your goal last night. Yes. Good. Because we're going to be setting goals every night. So get used to it. So pat yourself on the back quickly. And we will get back to work. Okay? You need a website. I would say what you can do, websites, you actually can get away without having a website these days because Facebook has made like a business Facebook page so comprehensive that it can meet. So far, I think I can safely say for the industries I'm in, it was able to meet the needs that any website would meet for a fraction of the cost, if any cost, because there may be no cost depending on if you're going to be boosting ads and paying for ads and that kind of thing. But other than that, it's free. And then you can, so you can tell people how to find you because everybody knows about Facebook. And I think that even if you don't have a Facebook account, if you go online and you type in the Facebook address, you might still be able to navigate. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. So that's part of what we'll talk about in the budgeting aspect of things. People have a tendency to overspend and buy things that aren't absolutely necessary. Remember what my daughter said at the beginning of this video. She said, only buy what you need. Only buy what you need when you first start. You can put bells and whistles on as you're growing and you're starting to see. But what you don't want to do is be constantly pumping out money for something that hasn't given you a return yet. Because there's no quicker way to be through with something if you feel like you just keep wasting your money. All right, we still have some viewers. Any questions? Any questions about the Boss Up Challenge or any basic kind of business questions? Did this feel better tonight for those that may have been thinking that the other ones were a little too long? Did this more concise approach fit well with you, or is that better for people? You all can give me feedback on that too. So what I'm doing is I go live on Facebook and I also record using my phone, just a basic video on my phone. Then I go and I upload the video to YouTube. However, I'll continue live streaming on Facebook for now, and I'll work it like that. You'll have so many different options of how to tune in. If you can't make it in at 9 o'clock because of other commitments, and I mean real commitments, things that you can't really switch around to make it at 9 o'clock, that's no problem. You can still do the 30-day challenge, but you have to get caught up. You have to make sure, I'm going to do my best to make sure I upload the videos right after I go live, so that it'll be available on YouTube within a few hours after the live stream ends. And so even if you go to the next day, get caught up and make sure that you do each day. You tune in and you get that 20 minutes of content. Options are good. When I first got the daycare, what was the first 3 steps I took? I looked for a property. First, I had to ask myself, why do I want to get into daycare? At the time, I was helping my dad and stepmother with accounting at the daycare, and I was already considering, because I was a substance abuse counselor at the time, and I was underpaid, and that's, in that field, you don't get paid well. I had a 3-year-old, and I was going through a divorce, so I was like bartending at Burn Manor at night and substance abuse counseling during the day. It was really awkward, but I was trying to do what I could to make money, and I was also in school pursuing my master's, which I ended up stopping everything. I dropped out of grad school, I quit my job, and I went tunnel vision in building businesses. So I asked myself, why do I want to try daycare? I made sure I understood my intentions for doing that. The next thing, I went out and I looked around for where I would want to do a daycare. Third, and I'm not sure if this is like the exact sequence, but third, I just, I researched. I researched what I needed to do, because believe it or not, what people might not know is that even though my father and stepmother owned a daycare, they were not really a part of the process of me starting that one during that period of time. So I pretty much, because I'm kind of stubborn, what I did was, when I was working with them, there were things that when me and my stepmother couldn't agree on certain things about how things should be done, I would make a mental note of it, and I would say, well, I'm gonna do my own, and when I do my own, I'm gonna do it this way and this way. And so I ended up kind of doing it from the ground up, and I had to teach myself how to do it. The only experience I had was what I saw from them and what I knew about their work ethic and the kind of conversations they would have about the industry. So finding a property, doing the research. If you go and look at the video that I posted on Monday, I kind of put what the process is to start up a daycare. And I think the first one was ask yourself why. The second part was research. And I can't remember the way I phrased it, but go and look at the video. What did I title it? It's on Facebook. It's not on YouTube. It's the very first video I did. And I talked about pros and cons. I talked about quite a bit. What I can do is I can devote like another evening to getting deeper into daycare, so those people that are thinking about this, whether they want to do a home daycare or a center, they can like know that that'll be a night where it'll be real heavy with childcare information. I'll do the same thing with how to start assisted living. I also did the bed and breakfast video last week. So look through my timeline and look at the videos, or make sure you join the Business Builder Basics group on Facebook, because every night I've typed up notes to make sure my thoughts are organized when I present to you all. If I go back and tweak them a little bit, they can serve as handouts, and I believe the group allows you to upload PDFs. So don't be on the lookout for them anytime soon. I don't want to set myself up for a task I can't follow through with, but I do eventually intend to have handouts and things that people can reference. But in the meantime, just go and take a look at the video. That's why I did videos, because I get those kind of questions all the time from people. So this is part of why I had the idea to start going live. Not because I thought that, that my life was interesting enough that people want to tune in, but I would have like videos to reference for people, because these are the kind of conversations, once people find out what I do, or they either see what I drive, see where I live, or somehow they figure out like what I do, and it makes them curious and they ask questions. And so it can be time consuming sometimes. So being able to reference videos, and I thought that would be a good thing. You can watch within 24 hours of the next stream. Yes, because you do need to make sure, if you are not able to tune in at 9 p.m. each evening, you need to make sure that you watch the video within 24 hours, because you don't want to get behind. There's no cramming. I don't want you all to cram. The purpose is to show you all that every day you need to be taking steps towards owning your own business. There are no days off. I mean, every night can feel like a Friday once you're established, but in the beginning, every day feels like a Monday. The Monday from hell. Every day. Sometimes that's how it can be. Remember, the process can be painful. The outcome, like what I've been able to do the past few weeks, is part of the outcome of the work that's been put in. However, one thing I want to make sure, I think I'm going to do a video called Stay Ready. Stay ready, because don't ever take for granted that, you won't have to get back in the trenches to either revive your business, or to get to the next level, or to fill in the gaps when you have personnel issues. Stay ready, because if you get too comfortable kicking your feet up and bragging about not having to lift a finger, before you know it, you're somewhere in a classroom having to cover for a teacher, or you're wiping behind at assisted living and changing diapers on adults, when you was just bragging to people that you didn't have to lift a finger. That is the nature of business, and you have to stay ready for that, and you have to have the stamina to jump in. Hey, Lynetta. She's family. In the trenches. Valencia Baker, she can speak to the in the trenches part. Y'all know how I said that this can't really be done alone when you have a lot of moving parts. She was the reason why I didn't have to really step foot in Perfect Angels hardly at all. She was like, Perfect Angels was more so like what she tended to, in addition to helping me with executive administrative tasks. And Peaceful Life ended up becoming something that my children's father ended up maintaining, right? So you have different people. My dad, he ended up kind of moving towards the property management aspect. You need people, and Valencia was one of those people. She was one of those people that was, every time she thought she would have a moment to like do some manager task or to take a day off, the state is in the building, or somebody done left the child in the van in the parking lot. It's like it's never a dull moment. So it's not always glorious, but when you put that work in on the front end, I promise you, like, after a while, there will be times where you can kick your feet up and you can enjoy the fruits of your labor if you do it right and get in the right type of businesses. Yep, stay ready. Stay ready. especially with people these days, people don't want to work, and you have to rely on people, and people no show and no call, and I mean, you have to like beg people to come to work. Girl, I'm traumatized too. I'll never forget, I was at Enterprise and Rent a Car, and you text me, and I thought you were joking when you told me that a child was left on the van in front of the building. Fortunately, the child wasn't hurt, but that resulted in us being suspended for a month. Do you know what that does to a business, a child care center? Do you know? So, regardless of all of the passion that me and Valencia had and all the great things we wanted for the children, you know, it boiled down to the negligence of one van driver and a director who decided it was best to keep it from me and Valencia. Two people's actions, one person's negligence and then another person's decision to not do the right thing, resulted in the loss of gross revenues. I think at the time we closed, we out of 74 capacity, I think we had like 62 children. After that incident, that scandal, being suspended for a month, we reopened, and I think maybe had about 20 children. Do you know what that translates into as far as revenue? Because keep in mind, even though you're not getting income, you still have to pay the lease. You still have to pay for things. And you definitely, I refunded everyone's money for that week for sure, and I promised a refund of the security deposits, and I didn't play around with that. It took a while to be able to get the money to give to everyone, but we tried to do the right thing. That was very traumatizing. Yep, I remember. I thought you were playing when you said that someone left a child on the van. That, I mean, I was just like, what in the world? I got in an Uber. I was on my externship at Georgetown, but I had left on my lunch break to go rent a car because my children's father was in a car accident in my other car and it was totaled. So that day was rough. That day was real rough. It was real rough. But I know that that day, either that day, if it's a close tie. I don't know if that day was rougher or the day that we found out we had to call all the parents to come pick their children up, like right now. I wasn't there that day, and the state came and they didn't like the way the situation was handled by the director I had at the time, and they wanted me to fire her. They wanted me to fire the van driver. I did. Um, at first, I didn't. I didn't fire the director. I had to kind of investigate and see what happened. But the day we had to shut down was the worst. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think the day I found out that the situation was a real situation, I had like this drop feeling, like my gut, like you're on a roller coaster and you're going down. That's how I felt, but I literally felt that way, but I wasn't on a roller coaster. I felt like I was going to be sick. But the day that we actually had to call the parents, even though I wasn't heavily involved all the time with the daycare, I felt like as the owner, it was my responsibility to face each and every one of those parents who came to pick up their children that day. So I was ready to get cursed out. I was ready to get stomped out. But I'm gonna tell you, that day was crazy because everybody was like, "When? How long this gonna last? When y'all gonna be? When can I bring them back?" Or that it was just like, not one person that particular day gave me any grief as they had to walk through the door, get handed a letter from the state saying that this place needs to be shut down for now because of some things that are not safe for children. That is in the letter, and everybody walking through the door gets the letter. The state is standing there, Child Protective Services rep standing there. hand the letter to the parent, and here I am, just like, I'm so sorry. It's like that for me. That was one of the main reasons I was like, if I'm not going to be there to do it myself, I have to get out of childcare. I have to put someone in place that is going to have the time to really run it how it needs to be run. That was a deal breaker for me. Yep. So this type of conversation, I'm hoping that like it actually will do something for the people that are considering childcare, not discourage you, but I want to be very honest about what you should be prepared for. Every time something happens at a childcare center that ends up on the news, I immediately I feel so bad sometimes for the owners when the owners, because in a lot of the instances the owners are not they're not responsible for what happened. They weren't really responsible for the actions of another person. But when your daycare, we didn't make the news, thank God. But when your daycare is plastered on the news, that's like career suicide. That's business death. That's murder, really. It's not suicide, it's murder, because it's hard for people to bounce back from that. And I'll be honest, Perfect Angels, even at this stage, I think may only have about 30 children, and it's licensed for 74. So we never bounced back fully from that. And the person who took on Tiara, who took it on, she knew that that was going to be part of the challenge, which is why I respected her a lot, because she knew not only did she have to come in as a rookie to run a business and figure out how to run a business, she knew that it was a business that had a strike against it. And she had a lot of courage. But we had a lot of our parents come back. More would have come back if they had not already just moved on, because they could not keep holding out for us, and we refused to open on the down low. That's not something we wanted to do. But we still have a lot of parents that have high regard for Perfect Angels Learning Center. So if you do need childcare, um, talk with Tiara. It's a good place. It's a good place. I can say that. Things happen, but it's a good place. And that's really, and I've never been sued. There's no wood to knock on. Actually, I think this dresser is wood. Never been sued, and I'm in the type of industries where people are very litigious. People love to litigate. They love to sue you and think they're going to get some money, even if it wasn't something that was really deserving. Be careful when you choose, as you're pondering like what kind of business you want to consider. Think about the liability associated with it and how you intend to handle it, and make sure that your business entity structure is appropriate for the industry. If it's an industry with high liability, make sure you become a corporation, incorporate. And business entity structure will definitely be one of the 30-day topics, because I'm going to teach people how to file articles of incorporation, the paperwork for LLC, let you know where the website is and what certain terms mean, and just give a whole tutorial on that. Because guess what? That's that's an idea for a business, actually, because people pay people to do that for them. Not really, either they're unaware of how simple it is, or they don't have the time to do it. So they actually pay companies to incorporate you. And all they're doing is, you know, I'm not saying that it's like just nothing, but, and they're charging decent money for it too. So any of you out there who have good organizational skills, good admin skills, when I do the topic on that, that's something that you can consider. That's like a service that you can offer from your own home. You'll have low overhead. Overhead is like your expenses. Always look at businesses with low overhead if you can, unless the business is something you're just very passionate about, like childcare, assisted living. Very high overhead. You got to have the building, you got to have utilities, you have to have it's so much food, supplies. But if you're doing something like a company that does administrative things like paperwork to incorporate and establish tax ID numbers, there are people who will pay somebody to get them a tax ID number, and I tell you, it takes 5 minutes online to do it, and people don't even realize it. So when you don't have the knowledge, you end up wasting money. But if you have the knowledge, now you have a skill, and now you can, because you're trying to boss up and because you're going to be talking to me every night, you're going to always be thinking about how to turn something into a business. So low overhead, get yourself a website or free Facebook page, business page. Make sure you do a business page. Don't do a personal page. Know the difference. Do a business page, advertise your services, and see what happens. Those are the type of things that can be a side hustle. I know that there have been a lot of people that have been inquiring about doing things that they can manage while still having their job, because there are a lot of people who are not going to let go of their day job, and I don't blame them, because to do so might be a mess, because they might not be sure the business is how the business is going to turn out, and they know that they have bills to pay. So those are the kind of businesses that people can do on the side, your side hustle. Like the Airbnb, that's like a side hustle. That's something you can do while you still have your job to make money. You did your own, yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. Then it's not rocket science. But if you're, I mean, I really shouldn't make statements like that. There's somebody that told me a while ago, you say that a lot. You always say that stuff is not rocket science, and that's very condescending. And I was like, I can see that. I can see why. When you say certain things, when you carry yourself a certain way, you might not really think a lot about it, unless people are honest with you and tell you. But I would say it's not rocket science a lot. And actually, for let's say a person is grown. Oops. Let's say a person is grown. They're intelligent, but they're illiterate. They didn't get the proper tools in the school system they were in or whatever, and it resulted in illiteracy. Now, filing articles of incorporation is like rocket science, because if you can't read, but because it's not the because I'm not illiterate, I take for granted that I have the skill set to be able to read. A lot of us take for granted that is a skill that everyone does not have, and our schools are doing a poor job of it, making sure that I don't want to just blame the schools, because ultimately it's a parent's responsibility to make sure their child is educated. But what the schools do, they push the students forward anyway. That's the part I don't like, when they know you're graduating this child from high school and you know they can't read. I still have several people tuned in, so I guess you all are listening. You have more questions? Valencia, if you're still watching, I'm not sure. If you're still watching, what would you say is the most valuable thing you learned about business over the past 12 years? Hey, Cuzzo. My cousin, Chris Wilson. How are you? Do you re-register for, do you have to re-register for your LLC? I don't think so. Um, I'm not sure about that. Actually, I don't want to tell people any wrong information. So before I go there, I will have to look that up. But I know for a corporation, you don't have to continuously file or refile every year. Not articles of incorporation. You do have to do your personal property taxes. I don't know why all of a sudden this thing is not working. You have to make sure your personal property taxes are done every year, but you do not have to file. Now, your if you have a trade name like a DBA, a doing business as, those usually expire. I think every few years, maybe 5 years. So a trade name. Okay, let's see. I'll get back to that thought. Valencia has answered my question. There is so much info available that people don't access. Google is your best friend. Use all the resources available to you. That is what Valencia is one of the best things she's learned over the past 12, 13 years. Sorry, guys. Just all of a sudden decided I didn't want to hold the phone anymore. So that's what she learned. One of the most valuable things. You be resourceful. Oftentimes people don't survive because they're not resourceful. They don't know how to get their needs met. Yeah, YouTube. Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. YouTube can be your enemy too if you're watching the wrong things and binging. So the trade name. A trade name is when you either have you have a legal way, like a AKA. It's a legal way of giving you a nickname, basically giving your business a nickname. Or you can, if you don't start an actual business with a name, but you just have your personal name, you may want to link your personal name to a business so that, I mean, it's just different things you can do why a DBA or trade name will be good. And you file for that at the same place you file your articles of incorporation, or where you do your LLC and those type of things. And for Maryland, it's the Maryland State Department of Assessments and Taxation, SDAT, SDAT. Yep, got to be solution oriented, um, and quick. Fast paced businesses require people that think quickly, they have good critical thinking skills. If you know that's not really your forte, make sure you have a business that is slow paced, it's not high stakes, people's lives are not at risk. They're not like extremely highly regulated. Make sure as you're considering what kind of business you want to do, you think about your strengths and your areas for improvement. Don't put yourself in a position with something you can't really do, because you definitely have to be solution oriented when you face challenges, and the challenges will come. And if you are focusing on the problem or complaining or stuck in a rut, that doesn't benefit. And I know I spent a lot of time um, stewing in a situation when I could have been getting to the solution quicker and less painfully. You have to. Some people, if you're a person who's always complaining, or you're the person that's always coming with bad news or complaints, you're going to have to really make a conscious effort to learn how to become solution oriented. You have to catch yourself. You have to kind of catch yourself and make a conscious decision to say, let me not complain. What can I do? You have to catch yourself. D1. Yeah, so what'll happen is from a legal standpoint, like you should be okay, but from a legal standpoint, if the actual entity is D1 LLC, then whenever you're referencing something of a critical nature, you definitely want to use the real name. But I don't, I can't foresee any major liability with doing what you're doing for like that purpose. But if you try to open up a bank account and you say the bank account is D1 Lawn Care, well, they won't even probably let you do it because they're when they open the business account for you, they're going to want to see your articles of incorporation or your paperwork that shows what your business is. But you should be okay with like that. We did that with Perfect Angels. We started out as Perfect Angels Child Care Center, and then I realized that I wanted the title to be more expressive of what we were aiming to do, which was to make sure children were learning and ready for kindergarten. So we switched it to Perfect Angels Learning Center, and I think eventually I did do a trade name so that we legally could be referred to as that. But like on our license with the Office of Child Care, it still says Perfect Angels Child Care Center, but nobody refers to it that way. Yep, yeah, the banks, they're going to want to see it exactly how it is. When you're a LLC, I want to say they want you to put LLC in your title or some equivalent. If you're a corporation, that part I'm not sure about. I think you can leave it off. You might have to, I don't know, you might have to have ink. No, if you decide to use ink, like INC, period, and that's on your legal paperwork, then that is what you are legally. It's not incorporated. And so for my company, Progeny Enterprises Incorporated, it's not Progeny Enterprises Inc. In fact, I think there was a Progeny Enterprises Inc. that wasn't me a long time ago before I even got into business that's no longer in business. So it's real precise. Sorry to my YouTubers. I know that this video is kind of bouncing around because I'm holding it with my hand. So any more questions? I'll give you all a chance. Well, I have a question. We have 6 viewers, and I'm not sure how many of them are people that are already in business because I know sometimes my family and friends will check in. But how many of you all are going to do the Boss Up Challenge? Maybe you can say me on your comment. 30 days with me. Don't everybody jump up at one time. Or if you're already a boss, you can say already bossed up. If you're already bossed up, but you want to try to do something different, oh, great. You want to do something different or get to the next level, this still can be a good place for you. And you can be a contributor. Because remember, you all are my accountability partners, and we're all holding each other accountable, and we all, can bring information to the group. There may be people that can put something in the group that I don't know about, and that's where the networking comes in. So even if you're already a boss, you're I'm a perpetual student. I feel like you're always in a position to learn. Next level, yep. I'm trying to get to the next level because I there are a lot of things that I'm not satisfied with and feel like I should be on another level, and that I've allowed things to slow me down and derail me. Okay, yeah, trying to move forward, trying to stay in business because you can get started, you can be in business for a while, and you can hit rough times and be contemplating closing down or may not even have a choice. You're actually really struggling. So figuring out how to be successful in the business you're in or making a change, this group probably can help you with that too. Learning when to let go, that's very important because I would say that even though the situation with Perfect Angels we just discussed was like the straw that broke the camel's back, I think I went a solid 2 to 3 years constantly complaining and threatening to shut the daycare down. And in hindsight, that was not graceful at all. Um, I should have contemplated it and been solution oriented and been made a definitive decision and not just like keeping people on edge all the time, you know. So making those kind of mistakes, I can tell you that. And if you're struggling with the situation and you're trying to decide, is it time for me to move on? That might need to be a topic also. When is it time to move on? When do you realize that something you're doing is not doing what you thought it was going to do and doesn't look like it's going to do what you thought it was going to do? It happens. Doesn't mean that you're a failure. I think with me, I never wanted to feel like I gave up because I'm not a person who really gives up. And when you think about it, technically I didn't because I am still the owner of Perfect Angels Learning Center. I brought on a partner and I became silent. So, solution oriented. My desire was to see Perfect Angels live on, but not have to deal with the daily grind and financial responsibility of it and the liability associated with it. And I came up with the idea to try to find someone that would take on this very unique kind of arrangement because the arrangement is unique because the child care center is grandfathered in as far as the zoning. So if that one is to close down, they're not going to approve another child care center in that area because the zoning changed and we were grandfathered in since we opened up. So if so when you apply, you can't transfer a license to a new owner. So the license had to remain in my corporation's name, basically. And imagine you're interested in a business, but you realize you can't truly buy the person out. They're like always going to technically have the legal um, have the legal upper hand. And don't get me wrong, I came up with I think I called it a collaboration agreement. It was pretty thorough, and it kind of was spelled out to really protect me and her from potential problems later down the line. So knowing when to give up or knowing how to think creatively about a solution. The people who were like my family and friends during that period of time, well, not so much my friends because I didn't spend a lot of time with my friends actually until more recently. All these years of doing business, I was the absentee friend. I was missing birthday parties for children and those kind of things because I was building businesses and exhausted and was just hoping that my friends understood. But um, the family and people that were in my life around the time where I was really struggling with the decision about the daycare, they know that I was really pulling my hair out and I really, really wanted to make it work. I really didn't want to see, I didn't want to have to tell parents who had given us another shot. I mean, imagine your daycare closes down and you think highly enough of the owners and the teachers to bring your child back after a 1 month suspension. And now, less than a year later or so, they're going to shut down. I just, I, I didn't really want to do that. I mean, I considered it and I would have done it if it had to boil down to it because I was not going to keep the daycare open and be at a distance without someone stepping up saying they're taking over. So that was a hard decision. And sometimes you're the only person who can come to that kind of decision. You can't really seek advice from others. I mean, they can tell you their opinion, and I really ask people's opinion often. And you never really know if something's going to work out or not. But a lot of people they weren't hopeful about that arrangement. And honestly, I was a little surprised. I mean, I felt like it was a good deal for her because she was able to come into established business, not buy anything, not have to really make a down payment. You know, you're coming into a situation where there's already a van, there's already equipment, you already have a license, you already have customers. So you're not really building from the ground up. But there still were certain challenges with that situation that would have made it unattractive to a person. There were people that passed it up. There were people where they talked to me and I explained to them the circumstances and they were like, "Well, no, I don't really think that'll be the arrangement for me." But Sierra Williams, she actually stepped up and we worked it out. And a lot of people thought I wasn't going to back out. They thought I wasn't serious. They thought that I was incapable of being a silent partner. And on the front end, I was doing what I thought was being helpful, but I had to learn that when a person tells you or indicates or implies through their behavior that they want to figure things out on their own, you back out if you're willing to deal with the consequences from backing out. So, yes, I am silent. In all these years, I'm thinking that it's going to be a challenge to be silent. And being silent means not having to lift a finger, not having to think critically about problems. I can't tell you I can tell you the names of some of the staff if I look in the group chat because I am still in the group chat so that I can kind of just stay in the know. But I don't really know what's going on over there day to day at all, even less than before. So I'm grateful. So let's see. I see one person has joined, but I'm not sure if they stayed. If I don't see any more questions pop up, I guess we can call it quits. I saw one person say me, and there, at the time I asked that question, I think there were 6 viewers. I already know one of them is already bossed up. I can't tell who the other people are though because they're not commenting. Well, hopefully, if you're seeing this video and it's not the live stream, if you're like seeing it and you're a part of a watch party or you just stumble upon it on your own, go ahead and put in the comment section me if you are trying to do this 30-day challenge. And I guess if people don't see this today, I have to kind of figure out how will I handle people that want to get on board, but they found out after the day it started. Am I going to allow like a revolving kind of thing, like everybody's everybody can be a day one? The only issue is I don't think I'll be in a position right now to be able to keep up with when a person hits their 30-day mark. So they would have to hold themselves accountable. They would have to kind of know what their timeline is. But overall, like after the 30 days is up, I'm not going to like shut down the group or anything. I'm going to continue doing this, but it won't be with the it won't be as rigorous. Because May 7th, I believe May 7th is when I go back to school. And when that happens, it's kind of going to be a crapshoot about how often I can post. So that's why I'm really like flooding the market now, because at least I can get the videos out and they'll be there, you know. So it may feel overwhelming for people right now. You may not want to do a 30-day challenge right now, or you might want to just do it at your own pace, and you know my videos are there and you just take it in as it's comfortable for you. But just know that business doesn't move at your pace, and business doesn't wait. Once you're in business, catastrophe doesn't wait until you're comfortable. The perfect example is after my car got totaled and I'm without transportation, I'm in the middle of trying to rent a car. Clearly that's not comfortable, that's not convenient. That's when I find out a child is left on the van and then we may be getting shut down. So the reason why it's good to go ahead and put yourself through the difficulty and not to do it at a pace that's comfortable for you is because things are not always going to be comfortable. So it's best to figure out how to build up your resilience and your stamina and your critical thinking skills. Yep. Okay, I see another person. Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for joining us. I know you've been in, I think you were there yesterday. But spread the word. Spread the word. Let people know that this is happening, that this kind of information is being put out for free. I can't promise that I will be able to do this forever for free, but right now, why not? I'm out of school. I'm not doing much for the businesses. So I'm just spending time with my kids and doing what I love, which is helping people. But of course, that business mind is always there. So let's not make any mistakes. I'm not going to front. I would love for this to become a way that can generate revenue for me. But I don't want to do it in a way that'll hit people's heads. So maybe like several months from now, there might be a entry fee to get into the group. Maybe it'll be like $9.99 a month or $4.99 a month. Something just to kind of go towards my effort and time put in being a consultant. But I realize that everybody is not in a position to pay a consultant. So if you were considering getting into business, you already don't have all the money that you need. Now you got to factor in a budget for a consultant. A lot of people not in that position. But what I know, just like my daughter said at the beginning of the video, she wants to do a lemonade stand, but she wouldn't mind teaching her friends that live in her same neighborhood how to do a lemonade stand, because she wants to help people. She doesn't feel like it's a bad idea to create competition because she's confident enough in herself to feel like she can beat the competition, and not like in a cocky negative way, but just she feel like she knows she'll be okay, even if she teaches other people to make a lemonade stand in her neighborhood. I had someone ask me that the other day, and I went over that in a video. They were like, "Are you sure you should be giving this information out?" The bed and breakfast video. "Are you sure you should be giving this information out? You're like creating competition." And it's funny because I wanted to test my daughter out because I know her. Now I was so curious to see what she would say, and so I asked her in the car the other day. I was like, if you were to do your lemonade stand, would you teach other people how to do it? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, what if they ended up being on your block and being your competitor? And she was like, I would just beat them. Raw and uncut. And I'm like, I didn't teach her that verbally. Maybe she was born that way, or maybe that's what she sees being modeled in her mother when it comes to business. Is like win, 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 win. Forget everything else. Win, 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 win. With balance. With balance. Keep a winning attitude. Doesn't mean that you have to want to see others fail. You just know you're going to be okay. You're a winner. You know how to make your stuff different. You know how to stay in the game and help people get in the game. All right, we're down to 4 viewers. I think we're done tonight. We're right at that 90-minute mark. I think that's good enough for tonight. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. I appreciate the support. I appreciate your efforts, your time. We need to build our communities up. This is how we do it. One way that we do it. All right, guys. Boss up.